Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to do a program analysis. This program comes to us from the viewer Gull Decat, and the first thing we need to know is the layout of his program. It is a no intensity, low intensity, high intensity, medium intensity idea. This idea is taught by Summer Huntington of Steel Mace Vinyasa, and it's a very good way to get people to cycle their intensity so that they can get a lot of development in a little bit of time without getting too beat up or getting injured. With no, low, medium, high, you can think of that as heart rate. On the no intensity heart rate days, yoga, mobility, or walking. Excellent strategy. Yoga can be and has been used as a recovery strategy, depending on how you do it, for most of human history. Mobility work, kind of a modern version of a lot of ancient arts. And walking, getting out in the world and doing some stuff, but keeping your heart rate low. Low intensity, one hand club. High intensity, slam ball or kettlebell, swing plus clean and press. Medium intensity, strong and fit, two hand club, mill squat program. Low heart rate, single hand club. Very true. For the most part, in single arm club for the first couple of years, the goal is to keep your feet stable, pointing your feet straight ahead, so that people's ankles, knees, and arches of their feet can get stronger so that their back can work better. Every time you're running a one-hand program, you're working on your standing structure, and because you're not moving, it tends to be a low heart rate. Also, the weight tends to be low because as people are developing skill, they need to use a relatively light weight. It's not hundreds of pounds, it's in the 10 to 15 pound range for most people to start. So that keeps the heart rate demand low. When you're thinking about a one-hand club program, think that we are working on balancing out our rotation to improve our standing structure. Right hand inside, right hand outside, left hand inside, left hand outside. Most people and athletes in general tend to be good at dominant hand inside because that's the dominant throwing pattern in most sports. So this program is helping people work on the other three: dominant hand outside, weak hand inside, weak hand outside. When you balance those out, we tend to overall reduce people's pain, improve their overall core firing, their shoulder stability, and the strength of their elbow and wrist. Think about single arm club. When you swing the weight, it is pulling your joints apart. It is tractioning open your elbow, which helps people recover from other types of weightlifting. Things like bench press, deadlift, and squat tend to compress joint structure. So by swinging weight, we're decompressing joint structure, and we're trying to make all of our joints in our body equally strong. So that's a very, very good idea. Very well-trained athletes tend to have the most problem with single-hand club because their muscles are very strong from years of weightlifting and sport, but they tend to have weaker joints than their muscle structure. Just a generalization that you see as a trainer. Single arm club, make sure that the dominant side structures and the weak side structures are equally strong, which is not the way that most athletes are. Most athletes are very strong on one side and less strong on the other side, which can cause injury or pain over time. Our high intensity day is either our slam ball program or a kettlebell program, a combination of both the swing program and the clean and press program. Slam ball is a 30-minute program, 60 seconds on, 60 seconds off, 5 exercises. So that's 10 minutes to do all 5 exercises repeated for 3 rounds is 30 total minutes. That should always be pretty close to a high heart rate workout. Lifting any weight for 60 seconds, getting as many quality reps as you can in that amount of time is hard on every athlete. That's the point of the design. No matter what the level of the athlete, people will find challenge in that. We track our data in programs like this in all of our time under tension protocols. We do our exercise, we write down our reps, we wait a minute, we do our exercise. As we go through round 1, 2, and 3, you'll be able to compare your speed each time and try to get a little bit better and a little bit faster. And then when you come back and you repeat something like a time under tension workout, the next time you have your data and you can try to get 1 rep faster. That should always push you into the high heart rate zone. Do a little bit more work in the same amount of time, either with the same weight or with a heavier weight. The other option for this is swings and clean and press. Our swing program has a bunch of options. The most basic version is 10 minutes. The longest version of our clean and press is about 25 minutes. And the swing program can alter between the basic version, which is 10 minutes EMOM, to more complex versions, which is 15 minutes to 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Each one of these is a different timing protocol, but it keeps our rest periods the same so that we are working on learning to recover more efficiently. This is different than other types of training. These are relatively short break periods for the amount of work you're doing. At 1 minute of break, less than 1 minute of break, 1 minute of break. And that's because these weights are intermediate and the complexity is intermediate. Slam ball tends to be a high heart rate for everybody because the lifting techniques are difficult. They're old school lifting techniques that you would see with sandbag lifting or stone lifting, but just applied to usually less max reps and longer endurance periods of time. Our medium heart rate is two-hand club. Kettlebells is almost always a high heart rate activity. Two-hand club is almost always a medium heart rate activity because you cannot lift as heavy of a club because of the length of the lever. You have to maintain control, and that necessitates using a lighter weight on average, so you tend to end up with a medium heart rate. Our strong and fit two-hand club program is a 20-minute program. You have warm up and cool down on both sides, of course. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Single hand club, you don't put the weight down until you complete the reps. Usually, if you were to build up to 20 sets of 5, that should take about 7 minutes and 30 seconds for 3 exercises. That block of training should take about 30 minutes with warm up and cool down on each side. You're looking probably about at the 40 to 50 minute range, which is doable for most people. Inside of an hour, you can warm up, work out, cool down, and shower and be ready to go back to your daily life with that idea. The same thing is true for both of these ideas. 30 minutes time under tension, warm up, cool down, gives you about 50 minutes and you have time to shower all within an hour. The two-handed club program, warm up, 20 minutes, cool down, gives you about 40 minutes and you should have plenty of time to shower and go about your daily life. One of the questions that Cat asked was, does he need to match the pace that I do in demo videos? So when I put out programs, I put out follow along videos. And the point of that is that for high heart rate programs, if you're looking at a piece of paper and your heart rate gets really high, you might forget what the words on the page mean and you might end up doing the wrong exercise. So we created a series of follow along videos done at just an intermediate normal pace so that you can see it and then match that movement. But he asked the question, are you supposed to mimic the pace in the video? No, you should do your pace. In the beginning, you will be going slower. In the end, you will be going much faster than the pace that I demonstrate in videos. The goal is for each athlete to improve their pace every time they do the workout. So if you're watching the same follow along video, you can't just match that pace because you won't be meeting the goals of the program, which is to do more reps in the same amount of time every time you do the program. So the demonstrations for these things are me trying to demonstrate pretty good technique at an intermediate pace. And that's just there to remind people what they need to do when their heart rate is very high and they're starting to get really tired after that 20-minute mark in slam ball, or it's meant to keep people closer to on track with all of the kettlebell programs. Eventually, you don't need the follow along videos. You should know it just by watching it and doing it so many times. The goal is to burn the information into your head. Every time you do this program, you see the same information 4 times. If you repeat the program 6 times, you will have seen the information 24 times. It should be very difficult for you to not learn having repeated the same idea that many times. The same is true of the slam ball program. Cat was trying to keep his programs in the 30 to 50 minute range every day, and he has done that very successfully with stretching, with warm up, with cool down, with everything. I think that this is an excellent overall strategy. If you were an athlete and you walked into my gym anytime in the last 8 years, you would have done something that looked almost exactly like this, 90% just like this. It fits in an hour, it teaches people all the basics, it gets them better at standing up, it makes sure that their joints learn to be equally strong, they learn to rotate both directions. That's the basics of bodybuilding, that's the basics of bodybuilding, and that's the basics of bodybuilding. No matter what sport you play, this ends up being a good idea if you have a limited amount of space and you have a limited amount of time. It meets all of our requirements of a good engineered program. Time efficient, space efficient, and money efficient. Doesn't use a lot of equipment. You can do it in a small confined space, so you're more likely to do it. And it has those built-in rest days so that these other days don't end up beating you up so much that you can't continue your own training. Overall, excellent, very good, simple, doable program design.